If the fate of Britain after 1945 once corresponded to the political fate of Europe, the fate of Russia after 2026 will better reflect the direction of development in Europe. For at least the next 50 years, Russia's confusion and uncertainty will be a showcase for the political future of Europe as a whole. It is not just Russia that is now searching for its own national direction of development, the whole of Europe is in fact at a crossroads. Russia has already felt the pain of this reality. Other European countries, on the other hand, are still deluding themselves. This is the main difference between Russia and the rest of the continent today. Russia's predicament is reflected at three levels. First, the Russian level. Second, the European level. Third, the geopolitical level. At the Russian level, European identity is the foundation of Russia's national character, philosophical logic, and culture. Russians cling to their European identity and will not allow it to be questioned or revised. However, in terms of political skills, political structure, imperial systems, and even the distribution of social wealth, Russia has a strong Eastern cultural identity. Perhaps Russians have always thought that this is Russian identity. The reason for this is that Russia is on the border where Chinese and European civilizations have interacted and influenced each other. Unless the Russians clearly understand this underlying reason, they will not be able to resolve their deep-seated confusion. Second, do they choose to preserve or reform Russia's European identity? Should they continue to grow outside Europe or move the center of the country as close as possible to the center of Europe? Third, should they be pioneers in preserving their European identity or models of integration of civilizations? Should they focus primarily on resisting Chinese civilization or on integrating the two civilizations? Fourth, should they insist on being the Chinese's big brother, or could they choose to be the Chinese's little brother? Fifth, is it in the long-term interest of the country to stick to a European philosophical outlook, or is it in the long-term interest of Russia to integrate Chinese philosophical outlooks? Sixth, if the G2 order is basically taking shape, is it better to be part of the system or to resist it? Seventh, should Russia insist on being a pole of the imperial order or be satisfied with being a middle power? At the European level, Russia insists on its European identity, while Europeans firmly reject it. There are three possible solutions to this problem. One is for the Europeans to take the lead and find a suitable geographical dividing line to define the Russians as non-Europeans forever. The second is for the Russians to lead and force the Europeans to recognize the European identity of the Russians literally, legally, and in terms of the distribution mechanism. The third is for both sides to work together to change the philosophical logic of Europe from the bottom up so that both sides can agree. From philosophical agreement at the bottom to political compatibility at the top and mutual assistance at the economic level. The third level is geopolitical. The Russians have never had more than 500 years of national security. Migration, expansion, and settlement have always been the historical cycle of the Russians. Is the country's vast territory a blessing or a curse? Will it become increasingly profitable or increasingly costly to maintain a large territory? Can a geopolitical space be found that is conducive to consolidating the country's long-term political security and also conducive to securing the country's long-term economic security? In short, international politics after 2026 is bound to experience a period of chaos. Russia will certainly not be absent from this period of history. However, when it comes to choosing a political direction and a direction of national development, Russians' historical perspective, philosophical thinking about the destiny of the country, and deep thinking about the length of the future will influence Russia's national policy.